Hey, happy, healthy women community. I am so excited this morning. One, because we just finished a beautiful and amazing holiday season, and hopefully you had that as well. And now we're into a new year, which for me is always incredible. But the main reason I'm excited today is because I want to introduce you to an amazing and beautiful human being that is joining our Happy Healthy Woman community, not as a member, but as a trailblazer. So I'm so excited to introduce you guys to Whitney Coupland. She is starting as trailblazer in January. And Whitney, I was so pumped when you said, okay, yeah, I totally want to do this because you bring with you an amazing set of skills, an amazing knowledge base that I think is going to be so beneficial for our community. And so, first of all, just welcome. And second of
Thank
all,
you.
so excited for you to share the different things that you're passionate about. But before we get to
Mhm.
that, I would love to know just a little bit about you. Tell us about yourself and about your family, and so that we can get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, sounds great. So I was born and raised in Toronto, Ontario, and I moved to Vancouver about 10 years ago in my pursuit to become a nutritionist. So my previous career was in sales and marketing in the construction industry, if you can believe it or not. And although I was, going down that path and taking all the right courses, I knew that was not for me. And I had friends saying, "Oh, you're so into health and fitness. Why don't you try that for a living?" And I'm like, "That sounds actually really great." So I had been traveling to Vancouver on business quite a lot, and I knew I loved it here. And I had the option to take this nutrition program close to home in Ontario or to make the move out to BC. And I thought, you know what? A year in BC will give me the perfect amount of time to see if it's the place where I kind of want to set up shop for the rest of my life. And I packed up, I moved out here. And to be honest, I left nothing behind because I kind of knew this is where I would stay. So, needless to say, I'm here. I'm set up. I have a husband. I've been married for 5 years, together for 10, I guess, at this point. And I have two kids, a 2-year-old boy and a 4-year-old girl, which keeps me super busy. And just this year in April, or I guess last year now, 2021, I launched my health coaching business with a specific focus on autoimmune health.
I love that. First of all, I have to say it's quite cute that you came to BC to try it out, because I think that's what a lot of people do, intuitively knowing, oh no, this is going to be home. Because once you're
Yeah.
here, you fall in love. So I love that. That was very similar to my husband and myself. We came here for a 2-week vacation just to see, like we were pretty sure we wanted to come here permanently, but just to see. And as soon as we stepped into the province, we're like, we're never leaving. We're never leaving. So I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I would be here for business trips and then I'd be flying back to Ontario and thinking I'm leaving home
Mm.
rather than I'm going home. And so that was a pretty strong indication that
Yeah,
it was the right move for me.
totally. Totally. Oh, I love that. Well, we're super happy that you decided to come here and stay.
Yeah.
So here's the interesting thing. For me personally, and I'm curious if a lot of people listening to this would have the same experience. The whole health, like how to be healthy, how to take care of your body, how to do things for yourself that really magnify what your body is capable of, and getting it to its optimal level can be a very daunting journey because there seems to be a lot out there. I'm
Mhm.
curious because for you, every time I talk to you, you make it seem simple. You make it like, no, it's actually, although there's a lot of information, you seem to be able to carve that path quite naturally. And so I'm curious, as you became a health coach, as you kind of walked that path, what was that journey like for you?
Yeah. So, what I'll say is, I guess it wasn't always that way. When I first came out of nutrition school, or even backtracking to when I started nutrition school, a lot of this information was new to me. I had been really into fitness and like eating for muscle gain, but I didn't really know the ins and outs of eating for healing and long term health. So that, coupled with my experience on my own autoimmune health journey and having to navigate doctors and naturopaths and different practitioners, really forced me to pave my own way and to, I guess, in a sense, use my intuition of what felt good and what didn't feel good. And so over time, it became more natural, just like anything that you do with repetition. This way of thinking became more natural for me. And I thought, you know what? I really want to help other people discover this for themselves. And it's not going to be exactly like my own journey, or their thoughts are not going to be exactly like mine, but I want to help them own their truth when it comes to what's best for their health.
I so admire that. And I think that that's so exceptional because one, you've been through it yourself. And so I'm always so appreciative of people who go, I'm going to go through this journey myself, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to reach a hand out to those people who are still going through it if I can be of service. Like, I think that's really, really exceptional. And the fact that you take that very individualistic approach, right? Like, you're not going to have exactly somebody else's journey, but I'm going to help you connect to your intuitive voice, for a lack of a better way of saying it, in order to guide you on that path to being healthy. Like, I think that's such a fabulous thing. And I'm curious, is that something that's very different? Like, what does that look like in your business?
So, because I just started this in April, I'm constantly paving the way still and tweaking and making it so that it makes sense to my clients, because I'm basically downloading everything that's happened to me in the last more than 10 years, because my autoimmune journey started when I was 12 with Raynaud's syndrome. And at that time, I had no idea that it was connected to diet and lifestyle. The doctors basically had nothing for me. They said, this is what your body's doing, and there's not really much you can do about it. Hate to tell you. Mm-hmm. So I'm putting that all together, and I'm constantly fine tuning it and tweaking it. But I like how you use the word, and you use it a lot, that you're curious. And that's what I get my clients to become curious about themselves. And just through asking questions. And then a lot of things come to surface, and it's like where they may not have thought they knew something about themselves, deep down they really do. So it's having them become aware of it, and really getting to that cliche, like, why are you doing this? Why do you want to improve your health? What does this mean for yourself, for your family, for your future? And then we can really get to work on that in a way that makes them feel joyful, to be honest, because if you're not feeling joyful about what you're doing, it's not going to be sustainable.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Okay. So I love that because I find for myself, and I'm curious if other people have the same experience. I find for myself that when I have a health issue, especially if it's going on for a while, my anxiety immediately rises. I immediately start to go, oh no, what's this? What's that? What's happening? Why can't I get back to normal, whatever.
Yeah.
And what I love is that you do make it seem easy. When you talk about it, you make it seem easy, which is fantastic. Because for someone like me, I assume it's going to be very complicated. And I'm sure it is complicated, but the way that you talk about it, the way that you put it together simplifies it for my mind, which is so neat, because you pull from your clients' information and you simplify it for them, which is such a gift. But also the fact that you want to infuse it with a sense of joy. Like, we want to do this so that your life is beautiful and wonderful and amazing, not so you're stressed and you're anxious and you're being mentally taxed by your physical health, right? So I'm really, really curious, how do you kind of hold health and mindset in your hand? How do you balance that with your clients?
Yeah, so as most practitioners in like the nutrition and health field do, it always starts with the nitty-gritty intake types of things, where I really do need to know the black and white picture of your health history and what is going on. And beyond that, we talk about your personal journey and your story. So a lot of doctors, if you've ever had this experience yourself, you go in and it's down to the point. What's bothering you? what seems to be the problem? Let me take a look at you. Okay, here are some things that you can do. See you later. When you come and see someone like myself or many other health coaches out there, we want to know all about your journey. When did this start? How did you feel about it? What was happening in your life? What was changing in your life? How has this impacted you? Because people don't often get the opportunity to sit down and express that. Like for myself, the Raynaud syndrome as a kid, it was more of a nuisance than anything else. And I think that's how most people saw it. But when I really sit down and someone says, how did that impact your life? Well, outdoor activities were not fun for me. Where most kids could, go into a cold swimming pool and have fun, not fun for me. I would turn white and blue. Skiing, skating, all of these things that a young person could really experience a lot of joy, I found myself wishing away the entire winter. I would sit in Ontario and be like, when is it spring? When is it spring? And that was another huge motivation to move out west where the climate, it's more moderate. So my symptoms were already getting better even before the diet and lifestyle changes, just by getting myself into a place that felt more right. So these types of things, and just seeing the person for who they are as a whole person and not just as a diagnosis or, a bunch of symptoms all smashed together.
Yeah, I love that, because even just, and we love our doctor. There's nothing wrong with our doctor. I'm definitely not complaining about, the medical system. I'm not trying to bring that energy into this, but we did get a letter from our doctor the other day saying, hey, by the way, from now on, when you book, you've got 10 minutes. So get your information together, because I've only got 10 minutes. And if it's going to take longer than 10 minutes, you have to book another appointment. And I thought to myself, like, wow, that doesn't give you a lot of time. To really go like, this is what's happening, even just describing symptoms. Sometimes you can, for me, I can kind of ramble or take a longer road to get to the description or whatever. And I'm like, oh, wow, like that's cutting it short. So this idea of saying, I don't just want to hear about your symptoms. I also want to hear about how you felt about your symptoms. I also want to know like what was happening in your life when these symptoms came on. Like, that's absolutely beautiful. Now you have,
and then sorry, just to comment a little bit more on the mindset part. So when I'm listening to somebody's story, that's when I can start picking up on the stories that they're telling themselves and what might be working for them and what might be holding them back. So as we progress working together and getting to know each other on a deeper level, and there's more trust in that relationship, I can begin to help them see these patterns in a way that's non-threatening and very loving, but just that awareness is where it all begins.
I love that. Yeah, that's beautiful. And especially for someone who maybe hasn't considered that their mindset and their body and their health are connected, to be able to kind of slowly begin to journey into that in sort of that safe space is a beautiful thing to offer people. I love that. Now you have sort of an autoimmune kind of, I don't know if the right word is specialty, focus, direction that you go in. Tell us a little bit about that, because you and I have had a conversation about autoimmune disease, and a few things that you said just blew me away right away. And you were like, people don't know this and they need to know it.
Yeah. So autoimmune disease is very prevalent in our society, and it's often overlooked because the signs and symptoms are not something visible to the outside person looking in. So people who struggle with autoimmune conditions often suffer in silence. And when they if they don't have a diagnosis yet, and they go and see a practitioner or multiple practitioners, and like you said, you go in and you try and explain these symptoms in a very short amount of time, you can often be dismissed. And I don't know the exact statistic, but it's very high up there, where like, I don't even want to throw out a number in case it's incorrect, but many people get called hypochondriacs before they receive a diagnosis. And it takes about 5 years to get a diagnosis. So people are walking around with these conditions, but they don't have a title. So people are like, why are you complaining? You're fine. There's nothing wrong with you. Like, are you making this up? And that part of it is serious, but what's even more shocking is that there's now 140 autoimmune conditions that have been confirmed. So many things that people don't consider or they don't think about it to be autoimmune, like for example, psoriasis is an autoimmune condition, and multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune condition, and Crohn's disease is an autoimmune condition. And when I was speaking to people in my network, when I was first starting my business, I wanted to do some background research. So I would reach out to a few people that I knew had autoimmune conditions, and they would reply to me and say, I don't know, how is this relevant to me? I don't have an autoimmune condition. So they were walking around with these diagnoses and whatever protocols they had been laid out by their doctors, not knowing that what they have is autoimmune. And the issue with that is the protocols that usually come from doctors are there to just manage symptoms. They're not actually working to heal the situation. So with that being said, if you do know that you have an autoimmune condition, you can start working with the root causes and actually healing your body and preventing future diagnoses. Because once you have one autoimmune condition, you are more likely to get more autoimmune conditions.
Wow. Like to me, that's mind blowing. Simply because getting the right diagnosis and actually having clarity in what's happening to your body is so massively important for knowing what your journey towards health is going to look like, and looking at things outside of just the medicine that you can take, but looking at what's good for the foods that I'm eating, what's good for the exercise that I'm getting. And to have that piece missing in your knowledge base, like to have that piece just non-existent for you, would be such a frustrating thing. And to be able to finally have that exposed and then go, oh my word, like this is part of my journey that I just wasn't even paying attention to, or I didn't even know existed, would just be so liberating. And so I think that that's just so massively important. And I'm sure that as you walk with clients and they all of a sudden have this light bulb moment of, oh my word, what I have is autoimmune, that's for them opens up so much more that they can do for their health.
Yeah, exactly. It's a holistic approach. So it's not to say that doctors and medicine and even surgeries are not important, because that is not what I'm saying at all. There is definitely a need for, the medical system and some medical intervention. But if you want to start healing the root cause and actually getting better and seeing a reduction in your symptoms long term, that's where you have to take the dietary and lifestyle approach, and oftentimes coupled with the medical approach.
Yeah. Okay. So people who are watching and listening, you can see like there is a vast amount of information. I feel like we could talk about this for a long time because you just keep bringing up this great stuff that is so, so, so important. But I'd love to know, if we can just move into a different direction, what attracted you to Happy Healthy Women, and what made this sort of a community that you thought you wanted to be a part of?
Yeah, so when I first started my business, I was looking for networking groups and like-minded women who were also in business. And I stumbled across Happy Healthy Women, I believe on Meetup, and I saw the authentic connections over coffee. And I said, well, that sounds perfect. I love authentic connections and I love coffee. So I'm in. So to make it work with my schedule, I kind of visited all of the different groups that fit in with my schedule. So I got to know lots of the women across the board. And I always left feeling just so grateful that this existed, and that there are women out there that are also yearning to just be themselves and talk about things that actually matter.
Yeah.
And just to know that that was out there made me so happy. And I knew that at some point I wanted to be a part of it in a bigger way.
Yeah. Oh, and we're so grateful. We're absolutely so grateful. So you have a couple of different ways that people can connect with you, right? Obviously, people can connect with you on social media. We also have some events coming up that you're hosting, but and I'd love for you to talk about those as well. But why don't you give us a little bit of a download as to what you have coming up and how people can connect with you, and just how they can dive more into who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so like you said, I'm on social media. I'm working toward my consistent social media presence. It hasn't been the forefront focus of my business in 2021, but it will be this year. And so that's one way. I wish it wasn't too late for this and you may be able to find a way to still look at the reruns of the videos, but there's something called the AIP Summit. It happens every year and it actually kicked off today, January 3rd. So there are about 30 or so speakers on all different topics relating to autoimmune disease. I'm being featured talking about how to incorporate the autoimmune protocol, which is a specific diet and lifestyle way of healing autoimmune disease. I'm talking about that in relation to social life. So being able to still have a fun and fulfilling social life, even when you're doing things differently than the other people around you. So that's huge. If you Google AIP Summit 2022, you may be able to still get that information. I can't guarantee that 100%. So that was huge for me this year. Next will be the 2 different dates. I don't know if you have them in front of you. I don't have them top of mind right now for the Healthy Habits workshop, which I'm doing through Happy Healthy Women.
Yeah, on the 12th and the 15th, that's coming up. So on the 12th, if you join us for lunch, over lunch hour, and then on the 15th, I believe it's at 10 a.m., if I'm correct.
Yeah, that sounds right. So that is a workshop that I designed to help people take a very small baby step toward a bigger goal that they have in their life. So we sit down for an hour together on Zoom, and I guide you through this workshop where you actually leave with the exact thing that you're going to be starting and your plan and exactly how you're going to do it. So it's a very tangible thing that you're leaving this workshop with. And I've had great successes with it in a one-on-one capacity, as well as in some live workshops over the summer when that was a thing that was allowed. So hopefully we can get back to that at some point. But for now, I think it's a really great place to start, and no better time than the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I love that. And so for people listening, those are up. Those events are up on Meetup. They're up on Eventbrite. So go and check them out, because 100%, like, can you imagine starting the new year knowing the goal that you want to work towards and then actually having the concrete plan to get there in regards to your health? Like, that's absolutely amazing. And I think everyone should come. I may be biased, but I think everyone should come because I think it's going to be incredible. And then what about doing one-on-one work with you? What happens if someone's listening to this and going, okay, I've had these mystery symptoms. I have spent a lifetime trying to figure this stuff out. It sounds like Whitney has exactly what I need. How do people work with you one-on-one?
Right. So I work with people in a one-on-one capacity in a 12-week program. So it begins with a 45-minute consultation, which can be booked through my website, where we'll chat about exactly what we talked about, your story. I want to know about you, about your condition, about how it's affected your life up until now, and where you want to see yourself in the next 3 to 6 months in terms of your health. And from there, we work together on a weekly basis for 12 weeks. And at the end of it, you're going to come out feeling healthier, stronger, and absolutely more confident in your interactions with medical practitioners and the people in your life, expressing, the needs that you have as a person with chronic illness, and to simplify your life when it comes to your disease.
Amazing. Amazing. So can you imagine what it would be like to deal with health symptoms for forever, and then to have a 12-week program where someone would walk with you step by step by step and get to that end of those 12 weeks and go, wow, not only do I feel better, but I have a plan, I have clarity, I can express my needs. Like, that's an amazing thing that you're offering the world. And I think especially for me, when I look around at the people in my life who are dealing with health issues, to have that safe space to journey through it and to have someone as a guide to journey through it is such a gift. And so first of all, just thank you for the work that you do. It's obviously incredible, impactful work that people appreciate so much. And I'm so happy that you're part of Happy Healthy Women now and are giving it to our community, and really, being a light for this community as well is just something that I'm so excited about. So thank you so much for doing what you do, and now for joining our community. We're excited to have you, and everyone that's listening, definitely come to Whitney's first event on the 12th, where we really, like she was saying, dive into, what is your goal and what is your concrete plan for actually living that goal out. It's going to be impactful, especially if it's something that, you maybe have been thinking about or struggling with for a long time. To find that clarity and that path would be a beautiful thing. So thank you, Whitney, for taking the time to chat with me this morning. I'm so excited about the community getting to know you. And again, like I said, I'm so grateful that you're here.
Thank you, Meg. I'm so excited to get started.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Have a great day. Take good care.